Welcome back. Now, the National Bureau of Statistics came up with a statement in the course of the week talking about the drop in Nigeria's GDP or contraction in Nigeria's GDP. And then the presidency reacted that the sharp drop in the GDP, which had plunged the country into economic recession, would not persist. Well, we've been joined by Mr. Boniface Chizia, an economist. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let me stay with you, Mr. Chizia. NBS has spoken. The presidency has spoken. Where do we stand?
Well, I think we stand in the middle. I think that the recession, that has come upon us, we saw it coming, and most of us who have been privileged to appear on various sections of this platform channels, we sounded the alarm bells, they said that this was going to come. So I think it's going to come, and eventually, recession is something that's like economic trends and so on. It's cyclical, and so what you're saying in effect is that it's going to blow away. But then you don't just sit down on the arms and expect that it's going to blow away. I think the one that's the longest one we had was the Great Depression, and lasted about 3 years and 8 months. So normally you would expect that in a year, if we do what we're supposed to do, and we also will get over this. But I said to people, we don't have any. There are no quick fixes. But there are certain things we need to do. And we can go into that. If you look at the budget, I think we're supposed to do with the budget, and we're not doing. And so when you have a inflation, the thing to do is that you have to now begin to pump money deliberately into the system. When you have a recession, what that says to you is that you have contraction, so you don't have activities. Capacities are not being put into use. You have unemployment, it's increasing. You have inflation. Our own is strange in the sense that we have this recession and we also have inflation. So normally what happens is when you have recession, it means that you don't have demand. But our inflation is cost push. So when it is demand, demand pull inflation, so it means people don't have the capacity, they can't demand, they can't buy things. So usually it's not associated with inflation. But when you now have that with inflation, it becomes stagflation. So you have stagnation and you have inflation.
You say that this is going to blow away, but people are losing their jobs. Manufacturers and they're all shutting down. Foreign investors are leaving the country in droves. I mean, what's the common man supposed to do? How is he going to feed his family?
Well, I think that it's going to be difficult. I see that people are committing suicide and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But that's not the way to go. You don't commit suicide. I think that's something that is being what's the word now? I'm looking for the word to use. You don't have courage when you begin to take your life because you find that things are difficult. But I said that it's going to go. But I also believe that we must activate certain things. If you go to the budget, for instance, look at the social welfare program, the things we put in the budget. We say we're going to create graduate employment for schools. We said we're going to do conditional money transfer to the unemployed. We say we're going to do a meal a day at school. And I can assure you that, for instance, I can appreciate the mindset that says you start this in a meal a day, from the presidency. You start this in a meal a day, and you have constraints of cash flow, and you start it, and then are you going to be able to sustain it? No, those are some of the issues. But if you want, for instance, think of a meal a day. You give a meal a day in school. Look at the multiplier, the ripple effect it would have. You're going to sort the food, you're going to get trials it's going to have, and so on. And then you have to do that, and the impact it would have on the children coming to school. It's going to make school in places where they don't want to go to school attractive. So people say, look, let's go to school, even if just to have one meal, one good meal.
One good meal.
And so that we have. I said to people, the issue is that we're not really, we're not short of policies. But somehow we don't seem to be able to implement them. There are people that are indebted to government. Let government just say, okay, let's go and pay them. Let's begin to pay. Do whatever you can do to put money into the system. You're right in the sense that people are in pain. But then we said this. I forever remember that I've been on this platform. I've said, recall the experience of Barack Obama. Well, when he came to governance in 2007, the Nigerian economy was in dire straits. I mean, the American economy was in dire straits. You know, so you had people were given loans and so on, mortgage loans, and they were being called in and so on. There were issues everywhere. The factories were closing, and he came and he stopped all that. He started to reflate the economy, started to put back money into the system. And so we need to get, as I was coming now, I was stopping the traffic, and you are talking about communication tax, 9%. And you know, so we are talking about that in a recession. And so I think that so we need to deliberately say, look, there are many things we can do. Mm-hmm. You know, take the capital budget, for instance. You know, we have capital budget. When we had this budget 2016, it's such a massive budget and with so much deficit, 2.something trillion deficit. And we applauded it, some of us, and said that's the way to go because you need to get this economy activated, get things going, you know. But what is happening? The capital budget of 1.8, we're celebrating the fact that we released 400 billion naira. And so why? What are the issues? I know that we have issues with sourcing the funds and so on and so forth, but why aren't we doing anything? And we have schemes, we have programs, you go to constitutional framework. You have infrastructure, constitutionally regulatory commission. There's also PPP, public-private partnership. Are we exploring that scheme? And you go out there are lots of funds looking for destination. So we talk of ease of doing business. Now you talk of making your investment attractive. And so the people would come here. Once you have funds to attract. Once they feel that coming here, that that place is safe for them to go. So you have stability of policies and so on and so forth. So they're ready to come. And so there are issues.
Femi, Mr. Chizie spoke about loans, and he specifically mentioned mortgage loans. Loans are a bit difficult to deal with in our country because the interest rates are so high. Who is going to go into business, or what kind of business is one going to go into when one is paying interest rates of 25%? In the UK, for instance, it's not more than 1%. So where do you begin? Where do you begin?
Well, our situation is quite interesting. It's a very interesting economic scenario because we have a very deep market, right? Very, very deep market. And the fact that our market is deep means that we can afford to leverage on a lot of opportunities. Just like you mentioned, we have to spend our way out of the recession. And that means the government has to
spend money you don't have.
No, you see, that's the challenge. Part of the challenges we have is government is able to take loans, take debts, right, and actually pump it in. It's done everywhere in the world. It's just what you need is fiscal responsibility. With poor fiscal responsibility, right, then it means that you will take the loan and you will use it for recurrent expenditure.
Use it to pay salaries.
And of course, I mean, that is not going to yield value down the line. So that's really the issue. But if government can invest in key areas, and I think part of the issue is we need to identify the areas that we want the government to invest in. We have this very global approach to how we want things to be solved. In one fell swoop, we would like roads to be fixed, power to be fixed, employment to be made available. I mean, it doesn't work that way. For the what's it called scheme that you talk about, it ties in closely with the social intervention fund, that the government put in place. Now, we have the thinking that there's nothing wrong with the social intervention fund, but we lack the basic structure to support. And then we have forgotten a cultural aspect of our own people. In this part, if it's based on a capitalist market, pretty much everybody would have committed suicide.